after a profile of Ireland's first ever international pop star now. With rare documentary access from 2009, the incredible drive and even more incredible hair of Gilbert O'Sullivan.
Billy Joel doesn't care if he's bald and bearded at 50. Who gives a shit? Neil Sedaka, up to his last tour, wore a toupee. We all get kind of sucked into thinking we need to look like we used to look. I think it's much better if you can be allowed to age gracefully.
Yeah, I love the name Gilbert O'Sullivan. What's your real name?
O'Sullivan. Raymond O'Sullivan. Originally, I was going to call myself Gilbert just for recording purposes and use the name O'Sullivan for writing.
I always thought you invented the whole name, sort of as if you were doing a play on words, you know, using the famous team of Gilbert and Sullivan to sort of make people notice you.
I just did what I wanted to do, but it was different to everybody else.
I was the biggest selling solo artist in the world in '72.
I'm only aware of that now.
Mr. Gilbert O'Sullivan.
I think I was in every secretary's wall with my hairy chest.
You were their kind of idol. There was David Cassidy, there was you, there was the Osmonds, there was you. Man, it's good times. Been there, done that, enjoyed every minute of it.
There's an old saying in this business, when you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're...
The first to ignore you are the very people that praised you the most. That's true of anybody.
You haven't had a really big hit for quite a while. Isn't it? Isn't that a shame? Isn't that a shame?
I mean, as an artist, I'm rock bottom in...
No.
No, I mean, that's okay, but it's true.
Where is it true? What's the basis?
It's called credibility craft. Not in the best position, at 62 years of age, to be making it in pop music. And to all intents and purposes, your career's over. You're a history.
Would you punish me so unbelievably so? Never again will I make that mistake.
You can't really film this. A bit naff, this. Oh. What? Well, you know, is that really interesting? I don't know. Is that really interesting? I wouldn't be here. I won't be drinking tea. I won't be here. That's me, a tea now. So, is that all right? See, I don't drink tea in silence. So you're not getting the real me, are you? Come on. No problem. Then you can come in. You can come here for 2 minutes and sit here. Sit here for 2 minutes. Ignore them. I'm not ignoring them. No, you must ignore them. That's what you have to do. Did FX get back to you? Though?
Yes, they have everything.
They have it, yeah?
Yeah.
And will they...
You should pick it up. No, I'll pick it up when
he won't send it. They'll just do it.
It's easy to pick it up.
And Kevin has a nice way about him that he can charm my enemies. And there's plenty of them, so Kevin's good like that. He doesn't make enemies, which I think is a good trait to have. I'm the opposite in a way. You know, by being blunt and honest. You know, if I think you're fat, I'll tell you. You know, oh God. I mean, I've got into trouble by being like that. I figure that, well, if I think somebody's fat and I should tell them, aren't I doing them a favour? No. Artists like Kate Bush, Carly Simon have never toured because they just don't tour. And because they have nerves problem. I think Carly Simon has a nerve problem. And I think that Kate Bush, for some reason, and she brought out an album about 3 or 4 years ago after so many years and stuff. You're not going to get on the road. I don't think it kind of works.
Told you once before, and I won't tell you no more. Get down, get down, get down. Oh, you're out. Oh, I still want you around.
I've been touring more in the last 5 years than I've done in the previous 30. We're at the Albert Hall in October, we got Birmingham, Manchester. And in between that, then we'll be finishing off another record. I write pop songs, end of story. That's all I wanted to do, that's all I want to do, and that's all I continue to want to do. I've no interest in just touring, living in the past. Get off the treadmill. I don't think you deserve to get back on. in my opinion. Don't get off the treadmill. You shouldn't get off the treadmill if you want to maintain that career. If you give up, retire, and come back and expect everybody to like you again, I don't get that.
I don't like makeup. No, I'm all right. I mean, it's unless I'm shiny or something, but I don't really like makeup.
You sure? Well, you don't want any.
No, I don't want. No,
absolutely nothing.
No. Don't like makeup rooms. For a start, there's mirrors in there and people in it. I never liked makeup rooms. It's like barber shops.
הוא ישיר את הלהיטים הגדולים שלו.
What do you expect of the Israeli audience?
Well, that's a good question. That's what
Thank you.
That's what I'm asking
Thank you
myself.
very much.
It's well, it's the kind of question I ask myself because it's the first time I've been here, so it's an experience for that. And
Where have you been all these years? Why didn't you come?
Well, there's
We've
many
been waiting in the airport for years.
You didn't call, you didn't try it.
Better late than never.
Once upon a time, I drank a little wine, was as happy as could be, happy as could be.
All right, so you've got your show tomorrow night, and you're excited?
Really looking forward to it.
Okay, it's a beautiful place. Have you been to see the place?
No, I've seen pictures, yeah. The amphitheater, it looks
very
gorgeous.
nice. And then the culture hall in Tel Aviv. 1980, you got married with Asse, your girlfriend, Norwegian girlfriend.
Yeah, that's right.
And ever since then, happily ever after?
Yeah, we've been together through thick and thin. Two nice daughters, two lovely daughters in their mid-20s now, living in London. So,
oh,
yeah,
that's great.
I admire you for talking so much about yourself.
I'm not talking about myself.
No,
I'm
I
talking
mean,
about
yeah.
Gilbert O'Sullivan. There's a difference. That's what it's about. Songwriting, tour.
You're the whole,
Well,
whole
yeah.
you.
That's what it's about. That's what they want to hear. What's the point of doing it? I don't feel it's about me. I feel it's about the person, who that is. 1 o'clock they're coming, aren't they?
1:15.
Right. You sort it out? In business, you have to be tough to tough it out. Demand what you think you're worth. Without a formal manager, Kevin fills that space, albeit on the level of communication with people. So that's the danger of representing yourself, is that you have to kind of to blow your own trumpet, which is generally what managers do. They're the ones that go in and say, I want this from my artist, he deserves this. In my case, I have to do that. And it's quite good with emails, because I can use somebody else's name. I'll do letters for Kevin. I can say I'm Kevin, making demands and stuff. And if I do get up people's backs, then Kevin can be there to smooth it out a little. So he's good like that. He's very easygoing, Kevin. Well, I take care of how it sounds. But we have sound technicians, we have on-stage technician, we have a lighting technician. It's a big crew.
Side by side.
And back to back. I think it's fair to say that's that. Martin, tonight, don't play on We Will. Great musicians behind me, but it's my voice that's at the forefront. And nothing rhymed, be more gentle even. Yeah. Okay. I can't hide behind anything. You know, the focus is on me. I've taken it down, yeah, I've actually taken it down. It's really loud, because I can't hear anything, but really hard sounding, this wah. This is feeding back to Francis. I can hear this. 1, 1, 2. It's really hard sounding, wow. 1, 2. If you're a singer with a hard voice, what you don't want to ever hear in your monitor is it sounding harder. If it does that, then you just withdraw. It makes it difficult for you to reach simple notes. The nightmare for me is that you know from the first song it's wrong, and you've got 30 songs to go. It's just horrible. You just want the earth to swallow you up.
Picture is that the audience enjoyed it, right? They really enjoyed it. And that's the main thing, really. If you can, and you managed to complete the show. The second half was really good.
Well, it's nice of people, you know, to say not to worry, and we thought it sounded great. And it doesn't really, in my heart, it doesn't help me at all. I know how bad it was. I'm still pissed off about last night, kind of depressed. After the first number, I knew I had a problem, and I had 30-odd numbers to go. Yeah. So you can imagine, it's every number I'm dreading. I dropped certain numbers. I just couldn't face it. You know? It's a silly thing, but it's such an important thing. But if it's right, it's magic. Feels pretty good.
Great.
Yeah, hi guys. Good. That's good, okay. You didn't know you cared.
How fantastic was that? I must be in a picture too. Come on.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, thank
cool.
you.
The only kind of down thing is once it's over, it's over. The great concert is over. The following day, it's gone. You enjoy it? Yeah!
So the glory of that is very short-lived.
Yeah, hi.
But the glory of a successful record or a really good song lives on, beyond you even, if it's good enough.
And I love the Alone Actually, it's my hymn. You know what is hymn? I love you.
Okay. So what's your name now?
Nitsa.
Okay. Not many singers put their own clothes away. Notice that? See, this is... You wouldn't catch Elton John doing this. I was born in Waterford, County Waterford. Left when I was 7, moving to Swindon, in Council House in Swindon. Yeah, I was 30, I think. 30 when my father died.
It's over now.
The biggest regret I have is not knowing him. My mother was extremely good and strong, and you know, bringing up 6 kids, ruled with a rod of iron.
Take off your shoes, the both of yous, and leave.
spit my dinner on the floor once, so she made me pick it up and eat it again. Can't waste dinners. The other side of that is piano was there, guitar was there for me, drum kit was there for me. Who got me those? So my mother was tough on one hand, but there she was providing me with these things which were the basis of my future, my career.
I was asking for a drink last night.
Everybody on a Sunday, the men would be out digging their little bit of garden, and Ray would be out there in the garden shed banging away on this old piano in there. What they had to put up with is incredible when you think about it. You could see where it was leading. It was leading me to a musical kind of career of some kind. Gordon Mills manages Tom Jones, Humperdinck. He was like a god. He was the most powerful manager of a solo artist in the world.
You know, I thought I was fantastic. And in fact, when I wrote to Gordon Mills, I said, look, I would like you to manage me. I didn't say, would you like to manage me? I said, I've picked you because I think you're the right kind of manager for such a great artist like me.
He produced great records. Lone Again, Claire, Get Down, he produced them all. He was a top man.
He was like a sort of father figure to me. I went on holiday with him and his family. If I needed any money to buy on a boat trip, I'd ask him for it and he'd give it to me. I mean, it was just like being one of the family.
I babysat for Gordon and his wife. And Claire was kind of the one that would tend to get up in the middle of the night or whatever. So I grew very fond of her. So the song was written not for her, but for the parents. So really, it's a song, almost a thank you to them.
As hard as I might do, I don't know why. You get to me in a way I can't describe. Words mean so little when you look up and smile. I don't care what people say, to me you're more than a child. Oh, Claire.
He was a great manager in the beginning. I had great respect for him. I think he was losing interest in, he had gorillas and tigers, and I'm young and I'm still very kind of ambitious and stuff. So I think his big mistake was not letting me work with another producer.
The tragedy of the whole situation, with the litigation and with the breaking up, was not so much with him, but his family. As far as his family concerned, they only saw what was on the surface.
All I wanted was the interest in my songs that had been promised to me, that's all. I didn't get it. And then when we split, amicably, I thought, he told me that I would get it, go into his office and see his chairman or managing director, and he'd sort it out. And I go in there and he tells me to F off. So, I mean, it's not funny, because it wasn't funny. It was devastating for me. It was absolutely devastating for me. That was just horrible. And so I then left that determined to fight. On the day of the judgment, sitting with my lawyers and saying, I said, what does that mean? And he's looking at me and says, you get everything. I said, what do you mean I get everything? You get everything, you get everything. The shirts off their back was basically what I was given. And I was the bastard, so I was the one that after what he'd done for me, this is how I repay him. I sued a manager and won, massively. I think the business turned on me, but it is ironic that losing makes you more liked than winning. It's a strange thing. It's a human trait, I think.
Do people actually call you Gilbert? Does anyone actually say Gilbert?
It depends. If they like me, they call me Gilbert. If they don't like me, it's usually Bastard or something.
You see, got a big house out in the country with a really great swimming pool. You see, got a lot of things I never had, that's true. But are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? When you get right down to the nitty-gritty, are you happy?
I'm very much a home person. I'm not interested in celebrity on any level. I was always very shy as a person, still am, but I was never shy musically. The last people I allowed in here were The Guardian, and I'm a Guardian reader. And I was told to bits. Again, I do it when I have a record out. If I get the opportunity, we're pushed for any press we can get, of course. 8 times out of 10, you don't get it. I've learned not to read good things about me, if there are good things. Because you can't be a hypocrite and say, well, I read the good reviews, but I ignore the bad ones. You have to take the view that if you're not going to read one or the other, don't read any of them. That's the important thing.
I love it, but it doesn't knock me out. I think it's great, but it could be better.
The Gilbert O'Sullivan baggage of images has hurt me deeply.
It's just not my cup of tea.
If I was the kind of artist that had no image, it would have stood me in much better stead. As a songwriter, I would have had much more credibility.
I hate it, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
Lots of doors are closed, yeah. Well, the business is a young business. It's youth-orientated. Mojo, Q, these are the magazines that people interested in music buy. So if you're not written about in those magazines, you don't exist. You don't fit into their view of what are good songwriters.
With perhaps a different
I don't get bitter. So bitterness leads to it affecting your work. I get angry. I can put my fist through a door. So I did some phone interviews from my home in Jersey, and one of them was from a reporter from your paper. And he started off by saying, "Do you still write songs?" So I figured that, So I mentioned that as he heard of the word research, and because I had an album out, and so a little bit of research would have told him exactly what I was up to and what we were doing. And but anyway, when I pointed that out to him, he said, "I can't handle this," and he put the phone down on me. So I wrote to your editor, and the editor said they were going to check out here. I think he was an independent who wasn't not like you, Albert. I'm famous for my letters. I do write. Hot Press have got in their file some quite vitriolic ones from me. And so, I don't mind doing that. I think Spike Milligan was a bit like that. Spike used to write to people that made what he felt were unfair comments about his programs or whatever. So he would send off notes and stuff. So I'm quite famous for doing that. I can be quite... But I get to the point. I get my point across. I'm not looking for a response, necessarily. I just like to point out certain things. Interesting thing on the radio yesterday, I heard that the Radio 2 are going to do a Billy Joel celebration of his 60th birthday. Where were they when my 60th? They never came calling. Anyway, they're celebrating his 60th birthday. Billy Joel, one of the greatest singer-songwriters ever. No, it'll be Sting next, and it'll be Elton John again. Then it'll be Paul McCartney again. And then it'll be back to Billy again. So that's what comes around. Which it doesn't bother me.
You seem to be quite healthy after a career in the music business, which produces so many...
Not after a career.
Yes.
A career that's still
going on.
Be very careful here.
I can see why the lyrics of your songs were so good, because you're very careful picking me up on my...
Well, there's a few people that would like to see me written off, so I have to be very careful.
Well, I'm not about to write you off.
Out of sight, out of mind. If you're not on the box regularly, you're a has-been. It's acceptable. No harm in that. Not in the public eye, people think you're dead. I meet people all the time say, "I used to love you. We thought you were dead." It's okay. I know exactly where they're coming from. It only ever gets to me when people think, what do you do now? I'm at it. I'm well at it. I'm scratching at the door. I'm desperate for success, even at my age. Because I want to be as successful as Snow Patrol. And I want to be up there with all of them. Why not, Also, your phone. All these are kind of up-to-minute stuff that I need to work on. These are all good stuff. Just all good stuff. I've always been enthusiastic about the songwriting, regardless of what hasn't happened. We sell 20,000 albums, which is fine. But obviously, you'd like to sell hundreds of thousands. Having just finished the remaining 4 lyrics for this album, 14 songs we have. I'll probably use 12. I'll drop a couple. There are two elements in this album which are very interesting. One, the 4 orchestra tracks, which are very different to the Nashville stuff. Nashville stuff rocks, and the orchestra stuff is kind of traditional.
Don't be a stick in the mud, be a little clean, no one.
But I put my money where my mouth is. It's me that pays for this. I've written these songs. I want to do it with an orchestra, and I like what Laurie does, and so that's what we do.
Great. Welcome, welcome. We have great pleasure in accompanying Gilbert today. An old friend of mine, and always composes interesting music, so it'll be fun. Shall we take an A?
Laurie played piano on Get Down. That's his claim to fame.
Yeah, I do.
He played the electric piano.
I was
Engelbert's. He was Engelbert's
Humperdinck's
MD.
musical director, and that was 69 to 75.
And Laurie got out.
I did. Actually, I'm going to a dinner a variety club are giving.
I was invited.
Were you?
To Gilbert's.
Yeah, so I said, yes, I'd love to go, and then I found out it's in Manchester.
Yeah, yeah. I had to turn it down because I said we'd be away. It was nice of him to ask me. And so. Yeah. On behalf of Engelbert, they asked you.
Yeah.
Engelbert had asked them to ask you. Why couldn't he have called you up and just said?
He probably wanted me to play the bloody piano, didn't he? Another freebie.
See, the way Laurie plays, I couldn't play like that, pianoforte and stuff. You know, Laurie is, as a piano player, is traditional kind of piano style playing, moving around and stuff, whereas with me, it's very chord, strict chord, which is good for me on my other songs, but it would have been a little static on this. Not fond of myself in other areas, but musically I am really, I have no problem with having a healthy arrogance about my music and about music in general. I'll stand with anybody. So, I'm gonna play this, yeah. I think I should play it, let me...
1, 2, 2, 2.
It's about talking of murder. It's, you know, what is it? I never thought I'd see the day when murder would become so commonplace. Hardly a day goes by without a murder taking place. And why? Well, for a start, the punishment's not hard. They sentence you to life, but you're out in no time. So it's that line of argument. It's a fact of life. Most contemporary songwriters, from Lennon and McCartney through, don't read music. That's not how we write. Our generation of songwriters wrote through their love of the music. And it's that ignorance, that naivety about not knowing, which has helped me as a songwriter. This song about Private Eye, it's nonsense. Lady asked me nicely if I'd find just what it is that is on her mind. I said, certainly, that's my job, you see, I'm Private Eye. End of story. It's the contrast to murder. It's the, you know, it's the, when you get depressed about talking about murder, you just move into a lighthearted mood. So it's a bit of fun. So I investigated right away. Started from my head and through the day. Work down to her feet, no time to stop and eat. I'm private eye, at your service until I die. My nose and clothes bright yellow. Done. Good day at the office. You know, a lot of hard work, and you know, it's work in progress. You know, there's no sitting back.
When a little while from now, if I'm not feeling any less sour, I promise myself to treat myself and visit a nearby tower. And climbing to the top, will throw myself off in an effort to make clear to whoever what it's like when you're shattered, left standing in the lurch at a church where people are saying, my God, that's tough, she stood him up. No point in us remaining, we may as well go home as I did on my own, alone again, naturally.
I mean, you can't write something like that, you know. I mean, it's so personal, the song. I don't think you can have written it without having lived it, you know. It had to come from your own life, I would think, no?
Well, that's what most people who hear it say. They say to sing about something like, you obviously must have experienced it. But that's not true. And really, the way I answer that question is by saying it's not necessarily important to experience a situation to be able to write about it. It's what's important to me, anyway, is to understand the situation.
These are original Alone Again lyrics. In those days, I didn't write that many extra verses. I do that a lot more now, to think that only yesterday, but to think that this afternoon, a week tomorrow afternoon, we'd have been on our honeymoon, you know. So those are the lying in the sun, having lots of fun, and as any newly married couple would do. But reality is such, I suppose, that to keep us on our toes. So those are all Alone Again early stages and stuff. Interesting stuff. Good memory for all my songs. I mean, I often think that if a fire came in here and raised everything, I'd remember a lot. Because I'd be absolutely gutted to lose all this stuff.
What's in a kiss? Have you ever wondered just what it is? More perhaps than just a moment.
All these songs are my very first songs. A lot of them I haven't used. Some of them I have used. Mary Me is a really good song. Mary and me, a couple deep in love, I know it's true. I always wanted to. Please go away and leave us be the way you used to do. People say, who inspires you lyrically? Very few people. But Dylan was a big inspiration in one sense because he wrote about other things than Moon and June. But Spike Milligan was a huge influence. Nonsensical lyrics and stuff. And I like that aspect of lyric writing. Life in the Old Dog Yet, good album title. Growing Old Disgracefully, I have a song called that. So these things kind of remind me of these things. There's You Can't Concrete, so we've done that one. That was on, well, look at that. That's Gordon Mills's handwriting for Nothing Rhymed. So he wrote that. That was the first time it was written out. I'd have had the idea for the lyric having seen I think it was Biafra, but it was certainly the significance of starving children on the screen, which nobody had seen. That was the first time footage like that had been on a major TV channel. That really brought it home to so many people. So you couldn't not be affected by it.
When I'm drinking my Bonaparte shandy, eating more than enough apple pies, will I glance at my screen and see real human beings starved to death right in front of my eyes?
So no big deal. These are just the songs you have at the time. Nothing stands out being... The relevance of writing that is just what comes out at the time.
I may be old-fashioned, so what if I am?
As a prolific songwriter, a 9-to-5 songwriter, you're touching on all kinds of areas that interest you, intrigue you, that catch your attention.
I am chauvinistic in the sense that I don't think marriage works without children.
But I believe a woman's place is in the home.
What's the role of the woman within marriage?
A housewife, of course.
It's not the healthiest thing to be writing about if you're looking for exposure, But on the other hand, as a lyricist, it's great. I'll defend it, because I do take it's not straight ahead. It takes, it looks at both sides. I think it covers the issue pretty well. But if you just pick up aspects of it, just the title throws you. That came later, which is I don't trust men with earrings in their ears. You know, what's it? I don't trust, or women that look like they're men. I trust only those who are true to themselves, and God knows there aren't too many of them.
Relentless rhythm has always been Gilbert's trademark. At home, bashing away, karate style, he builds a lot of songs and destroys a lot of pianos.
That's how I break notes. It's what's known as a karate chop.
You know, your left hand is your drum. I've always played like that. Very tough left hand and stuff. So I think it would make most piano teachers scream with horror. If you wanted to kind of categorize an O'Sullivan approach to songwriting, what's nice about his work is the fact that when you do middle, I love middle sections, because I like going off the beaten track lyrically to go into another story and getting back to the original story. But I also do it musically, because what's nice is, and Lonely is a good example, so when you... Suddenly you're into, how do you do that? And it's because when I was writing it, I came up with that, and I also came up with another one, a different one, and I just chose that one. So that's searching for, after having the initial inspirational melody on the verse, you look for the middle section. I like middle sections.
You're saying you still sit down every morning and...
It's a 9 to 5.
This is a daily thing.
Yeah, I'll sit there. I love it. It's hard work. I mean, you know, you can get up and it's a sunny day and you think, you know, who needs this? And stuff. I don't have to do it, but I love it because it's exciting to think that, what this melody I've come up with, what could I write about? What's the lyric? What's coming out of my head? I feel that there's so much still to write about. I love lyric writing, and I like the difficult thing of coming up with good melodies. Because the danger is, as you get older as a writer, is that you lose interest in honing in on getting the influence to write a good melody. Because very often, good melodies you write are based on an influence of hearing other melodies. You buy CDs not because you want to amass a collection on it. You just buy them because you're interested in what's going on, and then you listen to them, and then you put them away. And it's a pretty broad church of music. I like Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac. I buy Take That to see what they're up to.
This is well, that's the one I last bought, which of course is Shirley Temple's greatest hits. It's a knockout LP.
Killers, Fleet Foxes, interesting vocals.
So he jetted off, we've been 2 tracks. Not at one time that homeboy was back. It took me an hour to get where I was going.
Biz Markie, he's a famous rapper. Biz Markie was the main man to begin with in the 80s. They requested the use to sample the intro to Alone Again. Such is life.
And the reason you didn't let him go...
Because he's comedy. I don't want that song associated with anything humorous. The song is too important to be used for anything humorous. So we protect that. The great thing about ownership is that we can protect that. We said no. And, but being who they were, they just went ahead and released it. So, so what do you do? So I got a hold of American lawyers and went through the whole process that I had to go through years before earlier. I had to go to New York, to go to court in New York. In fact, all we said to begin with was just don't put it out, just withdraw. We weren't looking for money, just pull it back. But so just that if you don't withdraw this record within the next, I'll have every single Warner Brother record that's scheduled for, well, the S hit the fan there and then, and that evening it was all settled. But we got a massive settlement, and a precedent was set there. And that was the first sampling case ever to go to court. There had been sampling cases before, had been settled out of court, but none of them had ever, no sampling case had ever gone to court with a ruling. So, but who needs that? I wasn't looking for that, for God's sakes.
In my history, I have various songs that mean more to some countries than they do to others. But in this particular instance, America took Alonigan actually to their heart. And it's never lost the impact it has for them. So that's great for me. Because, as I say, it helps us, opens up doors.
And Nashville is like Los Angeles was in the 70s, where all the kind of top US session guys played. Now they all moved to Nashville. The standard of musicianship is very high.
The idea of coming here to record appealed to me, and also to have a base for future live work. It's taken me 7 years, or almost 8 years, since I bought the house to actually get down here to record, but better late than never, so I'm really looking forward to it.
With Nashville, again, it's one song has led the way. It's a song written about 9/11, and so therefore it will be nice to record it with American musicians.
Well, I have to have a piano that's detuned below concert pitch, which is unusual. It's unthinkable that anybody would play a piano and want it detuned, but I'm that weird exception to the rule.
I have a limited vocal range, so the difference between a semitone and concert, I mean, it affects my voice. And to cut a long story short, when I started writing songs, I used to buy really cheap pianos, which were never tuned, obviously, because I couldn't afford to buy a tuner. So they were always under pitch. So I'd then go to a studio to make a record for the first time. And I think, well, what's going on? I'm playing in the same key, but it sounds higher. And of course, you learn with experience that that's because everything is constant pitch. But I'm so used to the semitone. So I actually have a grand piano made by Bluthner in East Germany, who made it for me, which is probably unique to the only one in the world. It has a lever, so you turn the lever and it goes down a semitone.
Oh, wow.
Because you know, like...
Playing C and you're singing in B.
Yeah, yeah. So we need to get copies of these.
Well, they'll probably do their own charts, I'd say.
Yeah, how do you want to work that?
They kind of, well, they'll probably just say, run the song once or twice. Just run the actual
I'll play it, yeah? They can sit around me and listen to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, play that sequence with the left hand, please.
Yeah, okay.
Just the chords without the rhythm, just real slowly. A flat minor or B, Yeah, that's a diminished chord.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll be that's a B diminished.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da. There's that slight variation. Da 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 da. I can't get to that because of my right-hand chord.
Should we put one down so we can... The vocal setup is really good here. It's priceless to have that. So another day. Because you know the problem we can have at home.
If I make a record, the vocal setup has to be right. I've gone to studios where I work with a new engineer, and the vocal setup is wrong. And I've had to terminate the session, bring in another co-producer, and write down what it is that works. So all you want to hear is your voice sounding the way naturally it should be.
Let me just have a listen. Might as well hit it.